Good day everyone. Hi, I'm Hanalyn V. Ignacio, and in this video, I'm going to discuss to you guys about the chapter 9 in the Principles of Language Learning and Teaching, which is the cross-linguistic influence and learner language. Then later on, my groupmates Mary Joy Ignacio and Justin C. Mandak will discuss their part. So, at the end of our video reporting, you could be able to understand the important points from the contrastive analysis hypothesis, or the CAH, from the CAH to CLI, or the cross-linguistic influence. Next is the error analysis, mistakes and errors, errors in error analysis, sources of error, stages of learner language development, variability in learner language, and last is the fossilization. But before I continue my discussion, can I request you guys to go to any comfortable place for you to watch this video free from any distractions and for you to learn better. So, what comes to your mind when you hear the word cross-linguistic? So, if you are thinking about variation of languages, then you are right. And for now, let's proceed to our slide since I already mentioned to you the important points to be discussed by our group. So, in our first slide, it is said that cross-linguistic influence is an important factor to consider in the study of foreign language acquisition in general. So what do we mean if we say foreign language? Basically, it is the language that is not commonly spoken in the country of the speaker. Let's say, for example, Joy is a Swedish speaker and she is living here in our country. So her foreign language now would be the Filipino language. Okay, let's take another example. For example, Justin is a Chinese, then suddenly moved in United States. So now, his foreign language is English language, since he is a Chinese, and the first language in the United States is English. Next, let's proceed to the contrastive analysis hypothesis. But before anything else, let's discuss or tackle first why it is called hypothesis. So it is considered as hypothesis in the fact that it is just an assumption. We can only predict the difficulties, which means nothing is guaranteed 100%. So we can only predict or hypothesize. Okay, let's proceed to the contrastive analysis. So what is contrastive analysis in fact? So from the word itself, to contrast, or it is the comparison. So it is the comparing and contrasting the mother tongue with the target language. So for example, our mother tongue is a Filipino. So we compare Filipino language to Korean language. So as we observe, we can see similarities and differences. Okay, let's proceed to the next slide. The contrastive analysis hypothesis number 2. So Clifford Prator 1967 captured the essence of the grammatical hierarchy with Stockwell, Bowen, and Martin 1965 in 6 categories of difficulty. So it was applicable to both grammatical and phonological features of language. So most of these examples are taken from English and Spanish. So I attach every slide here for you to see my presentation well and clearly. So let's proceed to the 6 categories of hierarchy of difficulty by Clifford Prator and his associates. So first level is the level 0, which is the transfer. So it is labeled as 0 because there is no difference or contrast present between the two languages. So the learner can simply transfer a sound, structure, or lexical item from the native language to the target language. So always remember that target language is the foreign language which a person intends to learn. Okay, so let's say for example here in level 0 in English and Spanish cardinal vowels, word order or certain word like mortal, intelligente, art, and Americano. So as you observe, we are familiar to these words. So even the vowels are walang pinagkaiba sa Spanish language, which is the target language. Next is the level 1, which is the coalescence. Coalescence means joining of elements, two items in the native language become coalesced into essentially one item in the target language. So this requires that learners overlook a distinction they have grown accustomed to. So example, English third-person possessives require gender distinction, which is his or her, while in Spanish is not. So instead, they used to describe it as so. This word is used to address persons politely. So next is the level 2, which is the under differentiation. So it is an item in the native language that is absent in the target language. So the learner must avoid the item. Example, English learners of Spanish must forget such items as English to do as a tense carrier, possessive forms or the use of the word, some with mass nouns. So next is level 3, which is the interpretation. So an item that exists in the native language is given a new shape or distribution. Example, an English speaker learning French must learn a new distribution for nasalized vowels, just like the word wrong. So if you're going to pronounce it as an English native speaker, you're going to pronounce it like wrong. But if you're going to apply the nasalization, you're going to pronounce it as wrong, like that. Next would be the level 4 or over differentiation. A new item entirely bearing little if any similarity to the native language item must be learned. For example, an English speaker learning Spanish must learn to include determiners in generalized nominals. And last is the level 5, which is the split. So one item in the native language becomes two or more in the target language, requiring the learner to make a new distinction. So these are the terminologies in cross-linguistic influence and learner language. So first is transfer, the first language influence on the target language. Next is inter-language transfer, it could be lexical or morphological, the interaction of a non-primary language with a third or subsequent one. So last is cross-linguistic influence. So all existing linguistic systems play an equally important role in the acquisition process of target language.